Let's do it. The Pies go down in essentially what was an elimination final. We got absolutely destroyed for 4 quarters. Tough game, guys. Tough game to watch. The type of game that resembles that of Geelong in that elimination final in 2020, where we realised late in the season, albeit the final series, that we're probably not quite there after a really good year in 2019. Could have made to the grand final and given Richmond a crack. Instead, it was GWS. We know how that went. And then more recently, I would say 2021 Gold Coast and 2021 Melbourne were games when I realised, or at least it was confirmed to me, that we weren't there, and there wasn't much point in feeling too down about it, even though I'm still down about today's result, of course. So it is what it is. Positive, McStay returns, has some impact in the game early, contested marks, shots on goal, but it also confirms that it's not just personnel. We were licking our chops at the prospect of De Goey coming back, Pendlebury coming back, Myercheck, Jeremy Howe, Mason Cox, McStay, Elliott, Kruger. But in the end, we could almost change our whole team and we'd still have the same result. Comes down to game plan, lack of continuity with the players as well, of course, yes. Are we deprived? Are we just shot mentally? We're killed in stoppages. In the end, it was 55-41, but in the first half, it was 25-0. Killed. And I mentioned in the pre-game show, the last 5, Hawthorn have everything that suggests they're a top 4 side, especially defensively. They defend the stoppages very well and they defend the defensive half very well. We only scored 14 points from defensive half. When it comes to ball movement, they scored 45, which is elite on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to defending ball movement and attacking ball movement. So they're going to ruffle some feathers in the final series and they could go deep, and they will go deep. I'm calling it now. So full credit to Hawthorn, because we knew what we were walking into today. I think we were all a little bit anxious about what could happen. Not only are they our bogey side, but they're also playing really good footy. And such is the contrast relative to last time we met them at Gather Round. We didn't pump them in the end. It was a close game. And that's when they started to show signs that they were nearly there. Something was on the mend around the corner for them, and they're there now. Missed chances early don't help. We're still extremely efficient going inside 50. We score, but we scored 1 goal 12 in the first half, and dissipates any chance that we had to compete in this game. Yeah, just even if we scored some of those shots, I think the game still doesn't go our way. It wasn't on our terms from minute 1 to minute 120. A lot of things to address here, but we'll keep it rolling. Ginnivan, a career game against the Pies. Fair play, 31 disposals, 10 contested possessions, 11 score involvements, a goal or two. Vindication, vengeance, call it what you want it for the man. I'm happy for him. He wasn't wanted at Collingwood, allegedly, as it seems, and he shoved one upper. So fair play. It shows that he has a bit of dog in him as well. So good for him and all the best. On top of that, you throw in the rest of the Hawks, Smalls, D'Ambrosio, 2 goals, Dylan Moore, James Warple has an impact, Luke Bruce kicks. Let's see, how many did Luke Bruce kick here? 4. McDonald kicks 4. Watson kicks 3, sort of announces himself to the league after having a slow start in front of the goals, at least, being largely inaccurate. Yeah, they're Smalls. We talked about it being a problem going into the game, and so it did turn out to be the case. And then we've got our Smalls that have been largely out of form. Bobby Hill here and there, Lockie Schultz. So that's that. The uncontested footy in wet weather by the Hawks, still able to move the ball end to end. As I mentioned before, they scored a lot of points from their ball movement from the back half of the field. We didn't. Uncontested possession has been a big problem for Collingwood in the last 4 weeks, and you don't win when you lose the count by 120. I think it was. It was something crazy. I might be a little bit off there, but it was something ridiculous. The amount of uncontested footy they had, and they did damage with it. It's not the Hawthorn of old where they just. When I said the Hawthorn of old, I said last 12 months. It's not that team that just moves the ball without purpose. They move and it hurts you. They chip the ball away like your Essendons, like your Geelongs, like your Sydneys, get a couple handball receives, and they're deep inside your defensive 50. Tie that in with Hawks' unbelievable ground ball impact ability. It makes up 2/3 of contested possessions in your game. Ground ball gets. They were 110 to 77. For the first half of the year, they were incredibly elite and well above any team in the league. It has since regressed to the mean because other facets of their game carry the weight now. But today was a game where they showed that they can get down and dirty if needed. 156 to 127 contested possessions, minus 29. Collingwood, conversely, still not willing to pick up the ball below the knees, kick it forward in hopes. And it resembles the early games this year where we just wouldn't want to pick up the ball. Jack Crisp was a culprit in those times, was a culprit again, but not to, I guess, out him, but just for lack of not being able to recall other plays. He's someone that comes to mind when it comes to that. Inability to stick tackles. We may have won the tackle count 63 to 75, but I'd like to see the champion data statistic and how many broken tackles there were. And how many tackles we weren't able to stick. Whereas Hawthorn, they'd stick the tackle, pin you for holding the ball, and if not, there were 4 Hawks players on top of 1 Collingwood player in a tackling contest, which was the Collingwood philosophy, identity for 24 months prior to parts of this year. Fundamental mistakes, dropping chest marks, opting to punch the ball instead of trying to take the intercept mark. I think we gave the wet weather too much respect, particularly when you look at how well Hawthorn played the conditions. It wasn't as bad as it seemed. Not enough inside 50 generation. The Pies are efficient when going in, but not enough. Not enough methods. What does that mean? I talked about Hawks' ability to move the ball uncontested. Same as Sydney, Essendon, Geelong. The Pies had 2 ways. Last year, let's go back to last year. Last year, it was largely one way. Through the corridor and abuse it and knock it forward and create havoc and chaos. Teams have studied us all off-season, all pre-season. We probably rested on our laurels and failed to adapt and add to our bows, our bow. And when we get stifled going through the middle, we revert back to going long down boundary line. Sometimes we'd go a little bit more corridor with a long kick. Teams have picked up on that as well. It's too predictable. They're set up incredibly well. And then we just don't have that ability to move the ball from side to side. 288 disposals to 434 disposals probably shows that when we got the ball, we just looked to go without looking forward. How many times do you remember today? A couple handballs out of the halfback, and then we just throw it on the boot to a long, undesirable contest, or better yet, to nobody. That's what I remember. What else have I got? Dacos is still him. Fought like a real trooper. Would go to war with the kid. 24 disposals, 10 contested possessions, and a goal. Can't fault him. It's funny how the narrative was Nick Dacos versus McInnes. McInnes was largely not a part of the game. So it just goes to show how far Hawthorn have come. They don't need to rely on a tagger anymore. They're a good football side, a great football side, and Sam Mitchell has got them cooking. Isaac Quaynor battled hard. I thought he had some really good one-on-one contests with Luke Bruce, particularly early in the game. I feel sorry for him, but it is what it is. I'll defend Sidey. I thought he battled really hard. A couple goals. Always looking to lead from the front. Never lacks effort, which I can't say the same for other players in the team. Hoskin Elliott had his worst game for the club in his career. Maybe his worst game across GWS and Collingwood. Too many double fisters for him as well. as to was Darcy Moore, but we'll get to Darcy Moore in a moment. Meek was probably in a different weight class to Darcy Cameron today. At the same time, I thought Darcy Cameron still held his own in parts, but Meek had early dominance when the game was up for grabs. He had that sort of advantage. He's become a hell of a ruckman, and good for him. Hawthorn really needed one. Max Lynch hadn't worked. Ned Reeves hadn't worked. Hadn't had a real ruckman since Ben McAvoy. Sicily is passion personified. What a skipper. Plays with one arm. The commentary were going to town on him early about how he was such a liability, but he ends up finishing with 30 disposals, 9 contested possessions, 10 intercept possessions, 4 score involvements, and 4 score launches. That's leading from the front despite your ailments. So, wow. They have a real skipper. And we do too. I still love Darcy Moore. Joe Richards clean, 9 disposals, but 5 were score involvements. Looks so good going inside 50, looks so good below the knees. He's going to be a player for the future. Thank you, Ben Reid, for picking him out in Wangaratta. Love that. Markov, sloppy, worst game of his career by far. Get TJ in, get Demeter in. They should have been in before today. At least Demeter should have. Give him a chance. He's ready. I've seen him in the VFL. Like what I see. Great ball mover. Great piercing, penetrating left foot. He's going to offer something. Whereas with Markov, I feel like we're compensating. That's how I feel with him. Darcy Moore needs the reset button. And I feel sorry for him as well, more than anyone. He's copped a lot of media flack. It's been told or heard that he tries very hard in the 4 walls and leads at training. It's just unfortunate not coming together on game day. He has lost all confidence to try and take an intercept mark. He's now double fisting contests where he would previously take the mark, clean, and rebound. And that's where we lose some of our ball movement. We're not having our best interceptor intercept the ball. He averaged close to 4 intercept marks last year. He's sitting at around 2. That's a mighty come down. But it took until the season was over, it took 19 games before we played Darcy Moore forward of centre. I called it 4 weeks ago, guys. You remember? He needed to be moved. The indictment to leave your skipper in poor form can over and over again. Doing something you know that's not going to work. And it takes you till today when we're down by 60 points to put Darcy Moore forward of centre. He plays in a ruck, pinch hits in a ruck, plays forward. He's played forward. He came in as a key tall forward for the club. He's kicked a bag of 5 before. He's kicked 4 goals before. He's kicked 3 goals before when he was young. Now he's ready. Now is the time where we say, okay, let's move the magnets. Let's get Darcy Moore forward. Let's put Nathan Kruger in the back line, who was initially drafted by Geelong as a backman. We've got nothing to lose. Nathan Kruger offers a lot defensively. You can tell in the way he plays as a forward. He plays as a defensive forward. He brings the ball down. He's a fucking menace in the ground ball. He will be an elite backman if he can stay on the field. Concussions, injuries, concussion, he's had it all. But I'm sure if he keeps persisting, he will overcome whatever he's dealing with now and be a stalwart for Collingwood in the back line. Darcy Moore, go forward. He needs the reset button. He needs the off-season, as do the rest of the Collingwood Football Club. We need to reflect upon what we have had to endure over the last 36 months. Too many close wins, burnout, injuries, failing to add methods to our game, maybe ignorance. We set ourselves up 4 weeks ago in pole position to be a top 4 side when we were depleted, absolutely rattled with injuries. And you'd think bringing all these players in would make us better. I'm not saying it made us worse, but something went wrong. And I don't have the answer. But I trust the club as a whole will find a way to bounce back. Look at Geelong. Premiers in 2022, don't make finals 2023. They're back in the mix somewhat. They got pumped by Bulldogs tonight, but I feel like we could go one better than Geelong next year. I feel like that. What else? Ned Long was okay. Thought he battled hard. Seems to be a fringe player at this point. Lockie Sullivan also. So both 8 disposals respectively. Pies need to win all 5 to be considered a finals chance with other results going our way. Play the kids, I would suggest. Just stay faithful, guys. Like, for better or worse, side by side. This is the beauty and of life. Like, there's no ups without its downs. Sorry for the cliches. I'll stop. We've got talent. We've still got talent. We've got a few players to come in the coming years to really keep us afloat. Thomas McGuan being the main one in the 2025 draft. Watch that podcast Caleb and I had with Dylan today about the upcoming draft and the next year as well. I think there's lots to like coming in the next 12 months at Collingwood as far as new blood is concerned. We've got Scott Pendlebury's 400th coming up against Carlton. I'll be doing a documentary for that. That will be exciting. Against Carlton. What a massive game that will be. I thought Scotty Pendlebury was okay today, wasn't he? He was clean. I thought his kicks going inside 50 were good. 19 disposals, 6 score involvements. You can't ask him to do it all. I thought the goal he turned it on too late. He had a great second half. What did he finish with? The goal he finished with 16 disposals, 14 kicks, 1 goal, 2 goal assists, 4 score involvements, 7 clearances, which probably all came mostly in that second half. Just going back to the team stats. Contested ball, ground ball gets. 82 points of Hawthorn's goals began in their forward half, so just points to the fact that we weren't able to get the ball out of our back half. Volume of inside weight of the volume of inside 50s that we concede ends up being too much. You're not going to win many games with 37 inside 50s. The worst teams at the bottom of the ladder concede the most inside 50s and have the least accrued. I'd like to know how many tackles were broken today. We won the tackle count by 12, but God, it didn't feel like that. 34 scoring shots at 24. Hawthorn's efficiency, 72% disposal efficiency in the wet compared to Collingwood's 59%. We'll be back. Stay on the train. Be positive. Have a good sleep. And we get excited once again for many other reasons going into Richmond. There's always something to like, to look forward to. Go Pies.